Hello everybody, my name is AJ and welcome to the Skillbilly Syndicate channel. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be installing the O2 sensor, getting pretty close to starting the truck up. Real quick, just going to jump right into this. I'm looking at the manual here, or these instructions. They offer a O2 sensor clamp on option here, and I'm just going to do this. It's the easiest and fastest option that I have. We're going to go ahead and install the O2 sensor with this clamp. It comes with a couple of V-bands, a gasket, and a plate piece. This option does require that you drill a 3/4 inch hole in your exhaust. There are some notes on here. First is, if you do have catalytic converters on your truck still, the O2 sensor must be located between the engine and the catalytic converter. It's also critical that the oxygen sensor is not installed in the bottom of the exhaust tube. That's going to keep condensation from the exhaust from sitting and entering on the O2 sensor. On the next page it shows a picture here, and this is just showing that the O2 sensor needs to be installed at a 10-degree angle or more. And again, that just so that any condensation that accumulates on the tip of the O2 sensor, it'll just fall off. So what I'm going to go ahead and use is a step bit here, and because it's at a weird angle, I am going to use my 90-degree angled adapter piece here, and this goes right up to 3/4 inch. So once that punches through, that is as far as I need to go. Once that is done, what you'd want to do is you set this over the hole, and then you use your put the gasket on it, a V-band here, V-band there, and clamp it down. For the O2 sensor, you want to make sure that you are routing it away from any heat sources. Obviously, you're going to be right next to the exhaust, so you want to try to get away from that and run this up to the Holley wiring harness. We'll try get the camera under the truck and see how much of this process we can catch on the video. So let's go underneath there and get this hole drilled and see if we can get this O2 sensor installed. Okay guys, got everything I think I'm going to need down here. I should mention that Holley did go ahead and they added anti-seize that comes on the O2 sensor itself on the threads. So that's nice. I was going to add some, but I noticed that on there. So that was nice to have that on there. I think I'm just going to go ahead and thread the O2 sensor onto this adapter plate here. Just make sure when we clamp this down that we are actually on the hole and that it's gonna work good where it is. This is our hole here, and you can see there's more than 10 degrees angle here to allow any condensation that would form on the tip of the O2 sensor to be able to bead up and just drip right off into the exhaust pipe. When I drilled this out, there's obviously metal shavings in here. When we go to start it up the first time, they all should just blow all the way back, so I wasn't really worried about it getting up into the engine or anything like that. Anyways, 3/4 inch hole. The O2 sensor is on the adapter plate. The adapter plate is here. There is a little bit of wiggle room to adjust if you need to. The master kit comes with these V-bands. The nut on here is just a 7/16 nylon nut. And we'll just stick this on here. Anytime that I put something under my truck that I may have to take off in the future, I always try to make sure that I orientate it to where if I need to in the future to take this off for any reason, I'll be able to do that. And this sucks because it looks like this V-band is going to be way too big for my exhaust, which really sucks. We'll see here. Yeah, I don't think this V-band is going to work. This EFI system is really not meant for this small of a truck. So If this clamps all the way down there, it's going to be just barely. We'll have to see how this goes. What I was saying earlier is that anytime that I put something under a truck like this, even like my radiator hose clamps and stuff like that, I try to orientate them to where in the future, when I go to take them off, I can access the nut or adjustment screw on them fairly easily. So you don't have to like bend over and do a backflip and stand on your head to try to reach it. So yeah. That sucker is longer than a Monday. I'm gonna go up and get a 7/16 ratchet wrench. I went ahead and got a 7/16 ratchet wrench, and then if this is problematic to use, then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my other socket. This ratcheting wrench here that probably looks cheap, I think it was one of the first tools I bought when I started working on vehicles. I probably could have been any more than 17 years old or 16 years old maybe, and just getting into cars. Do you know what, guys? Forgot the gasket. Oh well. Anyhow, I got these ratcheting wrenches when I was really young and just starting to work on cars. Just kept them all these years. They're not the best things in the world, but they've always worked, and sometimes you just need them. I don't use them very often, but every once in a while there's a situation similar to this where I actually do need them, and they come in pretty handy. So, between the plate and your exhaust is supposed to be this gasket. Instructions also mentioned how critical it was to make sure that this seals properly. They mentioned that if it does not seal properly, that you will have poor engine performance. Something to think about when you guys are doing yours. I guess worst case scenario, if we gotta get this thing even tighter, we can always add some washers or something and just cinch this down, but I think this is gonna just barely make it, so that's a plus. In hindsight, I should have checked one V-band to make sure it was going to work. If it needed any kind of a washer or spacer to make this clamp down tighter, I should have checked that first and then put the second one on, but oh well. I'm going to switch over to the 7/16 here. This is kind of a neat ratchet from Craftsman. If the bolt that you're working on is small enough, it'll actually fit right through that hole right through here. So it's kind of nice to have, especially if you were into something like this. This I can still move with my hands pretty easily, so I'm going to say that it's probably not clamped down tight enough. I don't know, it's on there pretty tight, it seems like, but I think it could be on there tighter. Yeah. I think I'm just gonna put something on here to push this part of the V-band down farther and make this a little bit tighter. I'm gonna go thumb through my toolbox and my extra hardware and stuff and see if I can find something that will work. See if I can add something to this and make this where it'll clamp down tighter, because I don't want this coming off and messing it up. Okay guys, I'm back. I went ahead and found a couple of these nuts here. Now this took the same size as what's on these V-bands. So what I went ahead and did is I took a drill bit, just one size up, and took the threads out so they're smooth, and they just slide right over here. For those of you who are wondering where the name Skillbilly comes from, we don't always have the big fancy tools and shop and stuff like that to do things. Sometimes it took creative fixes to get out of a pinch that we were in, or to make something work, even if we were just making it work for the time being. So finding these nuts and having to drill them out, take the threads off of them to use them, so these V-bands will clamp down all the way, is really kind of the bare bones of what this channel is about. It's just fixing things with what you have in your garage, best way you can. And again, sometimes that requires getting creative. A lot of these big shops that you see on all these TV shows and stuff, or YouTube shows, a lot of these big shops use stuff like this or do stuff like this all the time. They'll just never tell you that they do it. I was actually surprised that these V-bands snug down as far as they did, because when I first looked at them and set them on here, it didn't look like they were going to be getting anywhere near tight enough for the size exhaust pipe that I have on here. The V-bands here actually cinched down a lot tighter and got a lot closer than I thought they were going to, considering Okay, and now you can see that O2 sensor is really in there. Before, this plate here would shift. You could move it with your hand, and now you really can't move it much at all. So that's nice. This here is a 7/8. I snugged this up on here, so let me get one of those. I thought I brought it down here, I guess I didn't. So I can route my O2 sensor right next to my speedometer cable, and I know that I don't have to worry about excessive heat or anything getting caught and damaging it, because this speedometer cable has been here for a long time and I've never had any problems with it. And you can see on both of these V-bands, these are closed all the way. They're pressed all the way up against each other. But this O2 sensor, adapter plate, whatever you want to call it, isn't moving at all. We got some anti-seize on here that came with it. I mentioned that, and then we're just going to snug this up. We don't want to torque it down crazy, but just get on there snug. And that should be it. We'll run our O2 sensor wire right next to the speedometer cable to the top of the engine, and then we will begin our wiring in the next video. I just wanted to do a quick video of this O2 sensor install, because I know it's been a while since we've had a new video. I will see you guys next time.